I just want to see if it's really you. He's real like us.
Welcome to Watch Mojo. And today we're counting down our picks for the on-screen moments that stirred up the most controversy. Warning, a few spoilers ahead.
Just singing in the rain.
Number 10, The Assassination, The Interview. All things considered, this 2014 political satire was pretty brazen. Not only does it portray a feared political figure as an overly sensitive man-child who loves Katy Perry, but it also features his fiery demise. While delivered in a darkly comedic fashion, the ending sparked a global uproar, leading North Korea to condemn the interview before it even came out.
North Korea says the United States is on the verge of committing an act of war and that it's reckless, provocative insanity.
In fact, they refer to it as an act of war and undisguised sponsoring of terrorism. Things escalated when Sony Pictures became the target of a massive cyber attack, wherein hackers issued threats of violence against theaters screening the film. This real-life tension led to several delays and changes to the interview's release strategy.
One of the largest theater chains in the country says it is now pulling the plug on the interview. This really is hitting Sony right in the wallet.
Number 9, Multiverse Cameos, The Flash.
Look at what's happening. These worlds.
This box office bomb aimed to celebrate DC's multiverse, but its use of CGI renderings of past characters fell flat. Similar to Carrie Fisher's controversial de-aged appearance in Rogue One, a Star Wars story, and Ian Holmes' posthumous one in Alien Romulus, The Flash featured cameos of actors who once portrayed DC heroes and villains. Among them were recreations of deceased icons like Adam West, Christopher Reeve, and George Reeves. Critics and fans slammed the cameos as exploitative and disrespectful, not to mention poorly designed and unsettling. Word of advice: if you're going to tastelessly include digital versions of late performers, at least make sure they're done well.
How long have you been doing this?
Time is inconsequential.
Number 8, The Love Scene, Ecstasy. Okay, so by today's standards, this moment isn't exactly shocking, but to 1933 audiences, it was downright scandalous. Starring a young Hedy Lamarr, Ecstasy features one of the first depictions of female nudity in mainstream cinema, as well as a boundary-pushing climax, and we're not talking about the film's finale. This triggered a global uproar, with religious groups and censors decrying the movie as immoral and several countries banning it outright. Even the Pope publicly condemned it. Although the outcry nearly derailed Lamar's budding career, Ecstasy is recognized as a milestone in movie history even decades later, albeit one forever linked to controversy. Number 7, Nuking the Fridge, Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull.
All personnel, it is now 1 minute to 0 time. Put on goggles or turn away. Do not remove goggles or face first until 10 seconds after first light.
Oh, that can't be good at all.
Indiana Jones devotees aren't likely to forget this moment, for better or worse. When Indy finds himself seconds away from being fried in an atomic explosion, he seeks refuge in the only place he can, a refrigerator.
7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Many of us probably wouldn't think to do this, mostly because it's preposterous. But the jaw-dropping outcome here is that it works. Plenty of fans exploded with disdain for the scene, citing its absurdity and seeing it as an outlandish insult to plausible reality. Even worse, viewers declared this to be the exact instant that the Jones franchise had given up on good storytelling. It even birthed the phrase, "Nuke the Fridge," a cinematic equivalent to television pop culture's famous term, "jump the shark." Number 6, 9/11 Twist, Remember Me.
I gotta go to my dad's office.
Say hi to him for me.
Alan Coulter's 2010 drama starts as a typical romance film until it takes an unexpected and unwelcome turn. The movie reveals that its protagonist dies in the 9/11 attacks, a twist that many viewers found unnecessary and even offensive. The decision was criticized for exploiting the tragedy of September 11th for emotional manipulation. Audiences also felt the story trivialized the real-life victim's loss, especially given the tone leading up to the twist. As Lisa Kennedy of the Denver Post aptly put it, such is the danger of borrowing from the enormous to merely entertain.
I love you. God, I miss you. And I forgive you.
Number 5. Singing in the Rain, A Clockwork Orange.
Yes? Who is it?
Excuse me, missus, can you please help? There's been a terrible accident. My friend's in the middle of the road, bleeding to death. Can I please use your telephone for an ambulance?
Stanley Kubrick's dystopian cult classic is infamous for its disturbing sequences, but perhaps one of its most jarring occurs when the protagonist, Alex, simultaneously performs a brutal attack and jaunty song and dance routine. While much of the film shocked audiences, the stark contrast between the cheerful tune and violent assault proved too much for some. Many viewers saw this scene as a glorification of brutality, whereas others debated Kubrick's intent to highlight society's desensitization to violence. Some even believed A Clockwork Orange to have inspired copycat crimes. Regardless of interpretation, there's no denying the sequence is among the most memorably frightening moments in a film defined by its darkness. Number 4. The Temptation, The Last Temptation of Christ.
He's tested you and he's happy with you. He doesn't want your blood. He said, let him die in a dream, but let him live his life.
Martin Scorsese's epic religious drama isn't the only work to portray Jesus grappling with human struggles, but it stands out for the uproar it caused. Audiences were particularly outraged by a sequence in which Jesus, played by Willem Dafoe, steps down from the cross, marries Mary Magdalene, and lives as a mortal man.
What's wrong? Why are you crying?
I'm thanking God for bringing you here.
Religious groups condemn this choice as blasphemous and a distortion of the Gospels. This plot point launched widespread protests, theater boycotts, and even a terrorist attack in Paris, where a group attempted to burn down a theater screening of the film. Decades later, The Last Temptation of Christ remains a flashpoint in debates about faith, art, and creative expression.
You know, I'm glad I met you, because now I can forget all about you. My Jesus is much more important and much more powerful.
Number 3. Butter, Last Tango in Paris.
There's some butter in the kitchen.
So you're here. Why didn't you answer?
Who lit the butter?
Despite being released in 1972, this drama starring Marlon Brando and Maria Schneider continues to spark outrage. While some hail Last Tango in Paris as an erotic masterpiece, its depiction of a graphic and non-consensual act understandably unsettles viewers.
You afraid?
No.
No? You're always afraid.
Upon its release, the film faced walkouts, protests, and even legal action, with director Bernardo Bertolucci being tried for obscenity in Italy. It gets much worse behind the camera. Schneider later revealed she felt harassed and manipulated by both Bertolucci and Brando during filming, particularly in the notorious butter scene. This revelation makes an already disturbing moment even harder to stomach.
I've got a surprise for you.
That's good. I like surprises.
Number 2. Shower scene, Psycho.
Sure you wouldn't like to stay just a little while longer? Just for talk?
I'd like to, but...
All right.
Today, it's one of the most iconic and terrifying segments ever featured in a movie. But in 1960, Marion Crane's murder was considered ghastly by many audiences. They were appalled at seeing a woman befall such a violent fate, especially in this kind of vulnerable scenario. International censors insisted that the scene be edited before release, with objections to perceived nudity and excessive stabbing shots being the chief complaints. Other elements also invited pushback, like the notorious toilet flush and the reveal of Mrs. Bates's remains. But public exasperation surrounding the shower sequence outshone them all. Despite this, Psycho towered as the second highest grossing movie in its debut year. It seems that some moviegoers enjoy a dose of the macabre with their entertainment, even despite controversy. Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications. Number 1. The Crucifix Scene, The Exorcist. It's no secret that this horror classic turned some heads. The Exorcist more than did its job of scaring initial audiences, with many viewers fainting and vomiting upon their first watch. In fact, some theaters even had ambulances on hand. The movie had no shortage of creepy moments, from the creepy backwards crawl to the infamous backward head turn to the demon Pazuzu's foul mouth.
Your mother's in here with his cars. Would you like to leave a message? I see that she gets it.
But decades after The Exorcist hit theaters, watchers are still haunted by the moment when Reagan's mother walks in on her possessed daughter performing a heinous act with a religious artifact. If you're of the Catholic faith, it doesn't get any more offensive than this. Needless to say, many critics were not amused. Did we miss any outrageous scenes? Let us know in the comments.
The attack is psychological, Damien. And powerful.
Did you enjoy this video? Check out these other clips from WatchMojo, and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.